Welcome to this tutorial where we will embark on a journey to build a simple CRUD full stack application with the powerful combination of Django and React. Our primary goal is not to create a feature-rich, highly polished application with the best user interfaces, but rather to demonstrate the seamless integration of Django Rest Framework and React JS in developing a functional, usable system. Alright? In this tutorial, we will focus on the fundamentals of setting up a backend using Django and Django Rest Framework for creating a RESTful API and a front end using React to interact with the API. The application will revolve around a straightforward student management system featuring basic data fields. Our emphasis will be on showcasing the interoperability of these technologies and providing you with a practical understanding of the CRUD operation. CRUD stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. As we progress, you will witness how Django facilitates the rapid development of a robust backend, exposing a RESTful API effortlessly. Meanwhile, React, with its declarative and component based approach, will be employed to craft a dynamic user interface that seamlessly communicates with our Django backend. Keep in mind that the intent is not to build an elaborate system, but rather to demonstrate the synergy between Django and React. This tutorial will serve as a foundation, and from here you can extend and enhance the application according to your specific requirements. So let's dive in and explore the harmony between Django and React as we construct a simple yet functional CRUD application. Use this course. Before you be able to understand what I want to do, you need to understand React JS and you need to understand how to build REST APIs using Django. So if you don't have this understanding before now, I would advise that you go to our channel, Halogenius Ideas, come under videos. If you come under videos, you will see this course over here. Then you see this React course. You can easily use the two of them to learn. You can use this one to learn Django Rest Framework. Then you can use this to learn how to write React. So if you don't understand Django, there is also a course over here that you can use to learn how to do Django. All right. So with that being said, let us start to work on the project. So the first thing I want you to do is to create a folder on your device. So you can see my folder over here. The folder is empty, CRUD app. Okay. So I'm going to right click now and I will open it in terminal. If you're on Windows, you can just try to open this the folder you have on your laptop or your device. You can open it on any location of your choice, your desktop, your document, your downloads, anywhere. But this is where I want to open mine. So I'm going to be creating a folder that will be taking all the front end code, then another folder that will be taking the back end code. The front end will basically be React, while my back end is going to be the Django REST API basically. So to create my front end, I will be using npx create React app. So front end npx create React app front end. So let me open another terminal where I'll be having all my backend stuff. So this is where the front end will be running. So just click on it and press enter. You can see, so it will install React for me in that folder as front end. If you come here, you can see that a front end folder have been created. So now this will take some time, so let me just leave it. Then I'll go to the other side. This is where I'm going to create my Django backend. So for this Django backend now, you need Django installed. I believe that before you're watching this tutorial, you know how to install your Django and your Django REST framework. If you don't, you can use pip. So just do pip install Django space Django. You can install it individually, but if you want to install it together, pip install Django, then Django REST frame. No space framework. So both of them will be installed, but I've done all this previously. I won't want to keep the tutorial longer than it should be. So I'll just start my Django admin project directly. So for me to create a project, don't forget the front end, which is the React, is what I have over here. So for me to create the backend now, just Django admin, then I'm going to start project, then I'll call it backend. Okay. So enter, and you can see Django admin start project backend. If you come here, you can see that the backend folder is created already. So let me check the front end. So you can see it is still installing the React for the front end. So I'll just go ahead and work on my backend, which is the sweeter part of the project anyway. So cd backend. So I'm now in my backend folder. I want to open VS Code in that particular folder. I can simply come here. If you're on Windows, you can just open the backend, then you right click, open in code. But I think I'll just rather do this code full stop, and it will open the backend folder for me in code. So while the front end is installing, we can easily come here to quickly create the backend. So don't forget, we are not creating a super application, just something we can use to demonstrate how to integrate your React with your Django. So I'm going to be creating this backend. Um, so for me to test if the backend is working properly, I'll do Python manage your py then run server. So let's just be sure. I don't want to take any chances. If I come and do ls, you see I have backend and manage.py. And don't forget, your manage.py is your command line interface for administration. So you can say Python. So in my own case, I have to specify Python 3 manage.py then run server. So if I should come here, Python manage.py then run server, it will start a Django server for me. So you can see here, you can see it has started my Django server. So I can just copy this link, come to my Chrome, and paste this over here. So you can see, so it shows that the Django is installed properly. So I can go and start creating my backend. So I will come here and I have to install an app. I have to create an app rather. So you can see this is the project over here. I believe that you understand the difference between a project and an app in Django. If you don't, please check the courses I showed you guys at the beginning. So I can just come here, open a new terminal. Then in this new terminal, I can say Python 3 manage.py, then start app. Then the app I want to start is API. So you can see it have created the API app for me. So you can see. So the next thing I want to do now is to connect my API app to this backend over here. So now that I have installed the API app, that I've created the API app, the next thing to do is to connect it. So you want to come to backend, settings.py, you scroll down to where you have installed apps. So you come down, you install the rest underscore framework. Then after that you come and you install API, and that is all you have to do for now. So I've connected the API app. Basically, I've connected it to the main project. Then I have my REST framework, obviously. So the next thing for me to do now is to go and start working on my app. In the app, I'm going to, this is models.py. I'll create a basic student model that we are going to be using for this tutorial. So we are going to be having something like class students, then models dot model. Okay, so I'm going to be having some fields. So the fields I'm going to be having first, the first name, this is going to be equal to models dot a character field, and the maximum length is going to be 100. So I'm going to be having the same thing also for the last name. So this is going to be last, basically the last name. So after this I'm going to be having age, which is an integer field. Age, this is going to be equal to models dot integer field. So the next one is gender, which is going to be a character field. So and the maximum for this one, male and female, is less than 5. So female 6. So let me just do 6. So this will be gender. Then the next one that we have to work on is the grade. So Let me also use the character field. There are so many ways to make this better. Models or character field. Okay, the maximum length. The grade is always one, but let me just use two. Maximum length. Then, as for the address, I'm going to be using a text field. So, this is going to be a text field. Then I can close the whole of this. I don't need it. So for this text field now, this is going to be address. Then the last one is contact number. Contact underscore number. Take a good look at the way I'm naming my variables. So this is going to be a character field, and this character field, I think Alt Z. So this character field, the maximum length, let me just do 15 or so. So I have my first name, I have my last name, I have my age, gender, then I have grade, gender. I think I'm supposed to have grade here. I'm trying to check my notes. Grade, address, then contact number. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is to register this model in admin. Come to admin.py. So after importing admin from .models, you have to import student, which is the one that we just created. So admin.site.register. What do you want to register? Students. So I can save this now. Come to my terminal. I have to create a new super user. I have to create a new super user. So this is my React server. I stopped to do a bit of Reacting the other time. So this is my backend. I can just come here and say Python manage.py, then make migrations. So okay, I think I have to use Python 3 in my own case. Python 3. Okay, you can see it is making migrations, and it has created a registry for it here. So the next thing I have to do is to migrate. So migrate. So now it has migrated all the models that we have in this application. For now there are some inbuilt models, you can see all of them. So it has migrated everything. You can see the API that we just created. It migrated it. So the next thing I want to do now, after migrating my data, is to create a super user, because I'll be going to the admin to do one or two things to create a new student basically. So if I come here, that will be Python 3 manage.py. Then after managing.py, I want to create a new super user. So the username, I want it to be admin. So let me carry this thing up. So the username will be admin. The email is admin at admin.com. The password again. No problem. So now I've created my super user. I can start my server now and I'll go to the admin dashboard, create some few the first set of students that we are going to be having. So in my backend, I'll just python manage.py, then I'll run my server, run server. So after running my server, it will give me this. So you can see my React app after installing it the other time. I paused the video to go back. Actually, I encountered some system errors, so I had to go back. So you can see the Django application, the one that we just that we installed, the one we are working on. So the next thing I want to do is to go to the admin dashboard to create a few students. So got it. So come here /admin. So it will ask me for my username and my password, admin. Then I'll log into the dashboard. So get away. Now you can see student. The reason why I'm seeing, okay, actually I made a mistake. I'm supposed to, it should be students. Well, no problem. Please correct that in your own. So just come here, click on add. So you see the first name, last name, age, gender, grade, and every other thing that we added. So first name I can say Alex, last name Samuel. Then for the age I can do something like 21, gender is male, then the grade maybe 3.2. The grade, what did I do for the grade? Okay, yeah, the grade will be A, B, or C. Yeah, the grade will be A, B, or C. Um, so let me just say grade A. Then the address somewhere around University of Lagos. So for the contact phone number, just type in some few things, but this percentage over here. So let me just leave it like this. Save and add another. So I have one student. Let me create one more student, Deborah. Then the next one, I used Samuel the other time. Let me use Deborah Chris. Then the age maybe 61. Gender, let me say female. Then the grade maybe C. United, let me say California, USA. Contact number, just a few random numbers, and I'll save it. So you see, I have two students, but I don't like the way it is giving me student object over here. So I'll have to come to my models. I think I have student here before. So def underscore underscore str underscore underscore self. Then the next thing I want to do is to return um, self dot first name. Let me just keep it simple. Self dot first name. So come here. If I should reload it, you see it is now giving me their first name. So you see that I have two students over here now. So now that I have my model ready, the next thing I want to do is to go and create the API itself. What I did here was just to create a database table, then the fields, then I did a bit of entry, just two entries. So the next thing I want to do now is to go and create the API proper. Okay. So if I come to, I have to first of all create a serializer. So come here. No, actually, it's a file. Serializer.py. Okay. So in this serializer now, I'm going to be creating a model serializer. So from REST framework, import. What do I want to import? Actually, from REST framework dot serializers, I want to import model serializer. Model serializer, yes. So now that I've imported my model serializer from dot models, import the student that we created the other time. Okay. So the next thing I want to do now is to create the serializer. So I can just say class student serializer. So this student serializer now, serializers, no, this should be model serializer. So come here. The next thing you want to do is to create a subclass with the name of meta. Then the model will be equal to students, and the fields fields, yes, the fields is going to be a string underscore underscore or underscore underscore. So what you are saying basically using this is that if you come to the models, all the fields, I want all the fields to be available in the serializer. Okay. So a serializer in Django is basically useful for converting complex data types such as the Django model instances to native Python data types, and can be easily rendered into JSON, facilitating data representation and communication in APIs. So that is what you use the serializer for. Now that I've created my serializer, let me go and create my views. So if I go to views, I'm going to be using generic views. So my views, let me import generics first. So from REST framework, import generics. Then after importing generics, the next thing I want to import is my model and my serializer. So from dot models import what? Import student. Then from dot serializer import serializer, student serializer, yes. Then the next thing I want to do is to create I'll be using the generic REST framework views. So it does a lot of abstraction and it is sufficient for this use case. So class, I can say student list create view. So I'm going to be inheriting from generics dot list create API view. So if you check the documentation, you will get more info about the list create API view. And if you check the tutorial that I spoke of initially, you will also get more information about it there. So for this particular view, I want to be able to list all the students available. Then I want to be able to create a new student. All right. So I think the get method is for listing the student, then the post method is for creating a new student. All right. So the query set will be equals to student dot object dot all. This is going to be the query set. Then the next thing is the serializer, which is the serializer class, which is going to be equal to the student student serializer. Okay. So the next view, which is the last view that we are going to be using, class student detail view. So this student detail view generics dot retrieve retrieve update destroy. Yes, retrieve update destroy. So you can see generics dot retrieve update destroy. So for this particular view, the get method will go for retrieve, the put and the patch will be used to update, then the delete method will be used to destroy. So um, the next thing I want to bring in is just the query set and the serializer, and we are done with the views. So you see my query set and my serializer rather. So the last thing I want to do now is to create the URLs. Okay. So for this API app, I'm supposed to create the urls.py. So urls.py. So this urls.py now, from Django dot urls import path. Then from dot views import the student detail view and the student list create view. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to create a URL patterns variable. The URL patterns is going to be equal to, I believe that you understand all these things I'm doing. So path, then I'm going to be having student. So for this student now, this student, if anybody should visit this endpoint, so that it will be the student list create. Yes, student list create view dot as underscore view. Okay. So then the name is going to be student list create name equal to student list create. Okay. Then the next one that I'm going to be having, which is the last path, is going to be the next one, which is going to be the last one. So I'm going to be having int pk, which is the primary key. Okay. So student slash, so the get method, we get the student with the id of pk. So this should be student detail view. Okay. The get method will be getting the student with the id of pk. Then there's no post method for this particular view. What we have, if you come to the views, what we have is retrieve, update, and destroy. You can check the documentation online. For you to retrieve, you use the get method for this particular endpoint. For you to update, use the put or the patch. I explained both the put and the patch in the tutorial. Just check it out. So I explained both of them in the tutorial. So please just check it out. Then for the destroy, just the delete method, and you're good to go. So if you come to URLs, so this is student list create, then this is student detail. Okay, so I think that will be all with our backend. The last thing to do is that this urls.py, Django doesn't recognize it at the moment. So for Django to recognize this urls.py, you have to go to the urls.py of the project itself, which is this backend. The urls.py of backend, then you come here and do something like this path, then you do something like let me say API slash, then we'll now include, I've not imported include, so you include, what do you want to include? API.urls. So I'm going to be testing one endpoint just to be sure that our backend is working properly. So if I go to API slash students, it should give me a list of all the students that we have, and we will just work away. So you can see API slash students, copy, come, but this is not going to be admin slash. So just API slash, you can see. So this is the REST framework interface. If I want to create a new student, I can just use this form to create the student. So let me say first name. I used Alex and Deborah the other time. If I say the first name is maybe Sunday, the last name maybe Chooks, the age maybe 42, the gender male, then the grade is maybe, let me say B, the address somewhere in Abuja, then the contact phone number, just a series of numbers. If I should post this, you can see I created a new user. I created a new user using these details over here. So if I should come here and I go back to the get, you see I have 1, 2, and 3, and you can see that this new user I created it over API. If you come to this place and you reload, you see over API. So all the endpoints are working, trust me, all of them are working. If you come to the views, the generic API views, list create, retrieve, update, and destroy, they've done a lot of abstraction for us. So we just come in, plug it and play, and we are good to go. So, and funny enough, that is the end of the backend part. Our backend is completed. So let's go to the front end. The backend is the sweet part actually. So npm start gives us the front end. I think I don't have anything to do in this backend anymore. So let me just close this. Then I'll be able to start my front end in VS Code. So I can just say code. Okay, so it will open my front end. You can see the node modules, the public folder, you see the src where you write most of your code, and if you come to package.json, you see all this. So this is my React front end installed, and just to be sure that this is working fine like I did the other time, you can just do npm start. So this is npm start. Don't forget, I closed my VS Code. I closed the VS Code for my backend, but my backend server is still running. If you check it very well, you can see this is my backend server. It is still running very well. We still have some things to do about the course headers, but when we get there, I'll let you know. So the first thing I would like to do in creating the front end, I would normally I can just delete the src folder. So I don't like all those. Then I'll come here to create a new folder, src. So in my src folder, I'm going to be creating two different I'm going to be creating three files. The first one is going to be index.js. The second one is going to be app.js. Then I'm going to be creating a CSS file, main.css. Okay, so these are the only three files we're going to be needing. So if I come to my index.js, which is what React recognizes first. So for the index.js, I'm going to be importing React from React. Then after importing React from React, um, the next thing I want to do is to import React DOM from React DOM. Then the next thing I want to do is to import inside this app.js. We are going to be creating REFC. So the reason why I can do REFC is because I have this extension installed, this ES7 React Redux React Native snippets. So if you come here, instead of app, I think I want to have capital letter A. Okay, so you can see my app now. Save this. So come back to index, then import app. So it will just import it from me. So the next thing I want to do now is to do something like React DOM dot render. What do I want to render? I want to render app. Okay, then documents dot get elements by id, and the id that I want to target is roots. Now this id, if you come to the index.html here, you can see that if you come here, you can see this id of root. This is where our application is going to be rendered basically. So close this one, and I have my index over here. Okay, this should be React DOM, sorry. DOM, and I'm not supposed to have this actually. Sorry about that. I'm not supposed to have this. So it should be working fine now. It should be working fine now. Okay, you can see it's working fine now. So, okay, I think it's the autocomplete feature that distracted me. It's the autocomplete feature. So please correct that. So now that my app is set, now one thing you should know is that for this particular tutorial, like I said in the beginning, we are not all about creating a very beautiful user interface, creating a very rich application. No, what we want to do is just to demonstrate how you can integrate your Django backend with your React frontend. Okay, so that is what I want to do in this particular tutorial. So now that I have my React app working, another thing you should know is that you can, don't forget, we want to do CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. You can create different pages, one for create, one for read, one for update, and one for delete, whichever way you want to do it. But for this tutorial, to keep it simple, I will do all of them inside one component over here. I'll do everything inside just one component. But before we continue, we have to install Axios. Okay, we have to install Axios. So let me open a new terminal, then I'll just install Axios from here. npm install Axios. So we have to install Axios. Axios is what we are going to be using to query the backend. Okay, Axios is what we are going to be using to query the backend. Oh, so you can see Axios is installed. So we can continue now. After importing React, another thing that we have to import is use state and use effect. So use st use state, then another thing is use effect. Yes, so you have to import use state and use effect. I'll show you how we're going to be using everything. Then another thing we are going to be importing is Axios from Axios. Then I'm going to be bringing in my CSS file. Import. So don't forget, this is my main CSS file over here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do for this CSS, I'm not going to be showing you the CSS line by line. I'll just copy paste it because I've written it before. All right. So this is my CSS. This is my CSS over here. This is my CSS. So I'm just going to be writing the HTML, and we'll just work our way up. So come here, you can see the CSS is active. So go back to the app.js. Now in my app, I'm going to be creating some use state variables. So the first one is const. Then I'm going to be having students. Then I'm going to be having a variable to set the students. So this is going to be equal to use states, and the use state is going to be just an empty list. Okay. So I'm also going to be, after this, I'm going to be setting for new student. So instead of student, I'm just going to be having new, then s, then set new student. But in the case of this new student, I'm going to be having a dictionary. I'm going to be having a dictionary. So to make my life easier, let me also open the backend in VS Code. Let me open the backend in VS Code, or let me save this. I'll open the two of them together side by side. So let me close this. After closing this, come to my terminal. Then if you come here, let me open another tab. Then cd. So if I have my backend and I have my front end. So let me open my VS Code in this particular folder where I can have my backend and my front end. Now, if you come to the backend, come to API and you come to models.py, you can see what I have: first name, last name, age, gender, grade, address, and contact number. So this is how I'm going to be. These are the same variables. The key in the dictionary that I just wanted to create. These are going to be the keys to make my life way easier. All right. So to make it easier to interact with the API. So if you come to the front end, the SRC folder where I'm having app.js. So let me open it side by side now. So you can see the models.py. This is my models.py. Or let's see. This is my models.py. Then this is my React app. So I think the font size is too much. Let me reduce it so you can give us a bit of font. Okay, so you can see the font over here. Let me reduce it to 20. I think is okay. I think this is fine. This is fine. So set new student. So use state. The next thing I want to do, no, actually, this is supposed to be a dictionary. So I'm going to be using the curly braces, then the key first underscore name, which is exactly what I have over here. First name, and the value is going to be an empty string for now. Okay. So that would be for first name. Then I'm going to be having for last underscore name, and the value is also going to be an empty string. Basically, I'm going to be declaring all these variables, but I'm going to be declaring it as an empty string. All right. So I'm going to be having age. Then no, that should be comma. Z age. Then I'll be declaring an empty string. After age, I have gender. Then I'm going to be declaring as an empty string. After gender, I'm going to be having grade. Then grade, I'm going to be having an empty string. After grade, address. Then I'm going to be having an empty string. After address, I'm going to be having contact number. Okay, which I will also initialize as an empty string. So you see that all these fields are represented in this particular variable. I have first name, last name, age, I have gender, I have grade, I have address, then I have contact number. Alright, so that will be for new students. The next one that I want to create is selected student. Selected student. Alright, so after this, just copy this. So instead of new students, Control D, selected. So this is going to be S, set selected students. Okay. So I have new student, I have selected student. Then I'm also going to be creating one other last variable. So the last variable is going to be to view. Okay, set to view. This should be T. Control D T. Okay, to view. So you can see that I have new students. I have selected students. I think for this selected students, let me just have null first. Let me have null. For this selected student, I have null. But to view, I have these other ones. Then the last variable I'm going to be creating const then open view comma set open view. This is going to be equal to use state then maybe just false. Yes, just false. So these are the state management variables that I'm going to be using for now. These are the management variables. So now I have to do use effect. Okay, I have to use effect, and if you remember the way your use effect works, your use effect is triggered when you mount your the component to the viewport. So that is what happens when you view um, when you use effect. So I'm going to be creating a function fetch student. The function is going to be responsible for fetching students. So this is the first place where we are going to be using the where we are going to be calling the API. So I'm going to be having const fetch students. Okay, fetch students. So this is going to be fetching the student, and this is going to be an arrow function. And for this arrow function, I'm going to be using axios.get. I'm using axios to launch a get request, and the request that I want to launch. If you remember this REST endpoint that we did over here, yes, this is basically it. So come here. You can see this is the endpoint over here. So this get is going to be getting data for us. Then so since it's going to be returning a promise, I can say dot then I can say response, any response that it gives to me, then just set students, and you set student using response dot data. All right, so that is if it returns a success message. But if it returns an error, catch. So you want to catch, then you say error, then what should it do with it? Console.error, just log the error to the console, basically error. So this function over here is going to be fetching the student for us. Okay, this function is going to be fetching the student. We will run into an error over here, but don't worry, just chill. So this is where my use effect comes in. Anytime that I load this particular interface, I want it to trigger this fetch student. So I'll come here to write my use effect. Use effect. So use effect snippet. Yes, I don't have to return anything here, and I don't think I have any dependencies. So I'll take this one out. All I want is just to fetch students in peace. So just fetch students, and because it's a function, so this use effect over here, every time that I reload the page, like if I save it now during hot reload, it will try to fetch student, but it will run into an error. So come to, this is our React app, Control Shift I. So you can see what I'm having over here. Access to blah 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 at this is blocked by CORS policies, which is fine, no problem. So, but for this fetch student over here, one thing I want to do, instead of just outrightly doing this, I can put this inside this, then so that I can have multiple lines. So before setting the student, I can just say return console dot log response basically response.data. Just log response.data. Okay, so save it before you set the student, just response.data. So the next thing I want to do, um, come here and I reload. You can see that it is not even, it is asking me to download the React Dev Tools. Okay, I've not installed my React Dev Tools. I'll leave all those out for now. So this is what I'm getting. You can see this is what I'm getting. Network error whatsoever. And the reason why I'm getting this error over here, if you remember dot catch error equal to console.error. So let's go and fix this thing that we have over here. Let's go and fix it. Now, how do you fix this error that you're getting by calls? So Django has made a provision, or some third party guys. So if you look for Django CORS, um, Django CORS headers. So Django CORS headers. So if you open this, you will see everything that you need to know about course headers in Django. So if I open this, my internet is at its best. So you can use pip install Django course headers to install this particular package. So you can see it will allow your resources to be accessed on other domains. It is important you understand these implications because you are exposing content from your website through to a third party. So it's a decoupled application where we are having if you remember, where we are having the backend and we are having the front end. So basically, the backend houses the data. The front end is what you are using to access the data on the backend. Okay. So if you come back here, you can see the Django course headers. So for us to surmount all this rubbish over here, we have to install this package. So copy this. Let me quickly let me come to my backend. So you can see my backend server over here. Control C. So let me just pip install it. So you can see I have it installed already on my machine. That's the reason why it is giving me requirement already satisfied. But on your end, it will just install the package straight away. So after installing the package, what is the next thing to do? After installing the package, the next thing to do is to come to your settings.py for the backend. If you come to settings.py, where art thou? Okay, settings.py, come here. So this is settings.py alt seed. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is that under installed apps, the same way we installed REST Framework API, we want to install CORS headers, course headers. So how do you do that? Just course, then headers. So after doing installing course headers, just the same way you installed REST Framework and API, we have to copy the middlewares. So if you come here, you can see these two middlewares that we have over here. You copy the two of them. Copy the two of them. Then under the middleware, just dump them here. So after copying those to the middleware, you have to create a variable, and the variable, the name of the variable. If you come here, you will see the name of the variable. Yes, course allowed origins. So this is the variable over here. There are so many ways you can configure this, but for our use case, we can just keep it like this. So let me just create the variable over here. So allowed origins equal to, then I will now add the domain where I want to access the API from, which is this domain over here. So where is my front end? This is my front end. Just copy this, then come here and paste it. So it must not have any slash at the end. And if I should come here and I go back to my React application, reload this, and it is still giving me that network error. If I should reload again, it's not supposed to give me that network error. Something must be wrong somewhere. I think I have to restart my application. Okay, my server is down. My server is down, so I have to run my server again. Okay, so this is my server. Reload it. You can see. it is no longer giving me the error that it was giving me initially, the course error that it was giving me initially. So now I can go ahead to start working on my application. So with the fetch student that I used over here, I have, you can see the address, age, contact number, the first name, the gender, the grade. So come here, you can see the second one, come here, this is the third one. So with the course headers settings that we just implemented under this particular settings of py file, we can do and undo to our API. So you just have to be very careful. I don't think we have any other thing to do under Django. So let me just close that. So we have more room for React. So the next thing we want to do now after doing this, so I don't have to do this anymore. Set student. Now this fetch student is going to be setting um, this student over here. Is going to be setting it. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do now, after creating the fetch student, let me create the form. Let me create the form. Okay. I will create the form. If you come here, instead of having the h1, I want to create a div. So I want to create a div. No. So the class name of this div, the class name, don't forget I have my main.css somewhere. So all these class names are what I'm going to be using. So come here, the class name is going to be app container. App container. So for this app container, I'm going to be having an h1 somewhere here. So this h1, going to be having h1. So this h1, I can do something like student management system. So this student management system now, let me create the a div. So this div, no, I forget, I'm not writing HTML. So for this div, this is going to be the class name is going to be form container. Okay, form container. So for this form container now, I'm going to be adding some input fields. So for this one, I can create another div and I'll call this div input fields. So class name input fields. So for this input fields, um, now if you take a good look at what we are having over here, we are going to be creating an input field for all of these fields, all of them. We are going to be creating an input field for all of them. So for the input field, the first one, which is for first name, so I can do something like input, no, input, no, I think it should be this. Many times I forget. I'm not writing HTML. So for this input field, the type is going to be equal to text. Okay. So the type of text, then the name should be equal to first underscore name. Okay, to just keep it simple, first name. Then the placeholder, first, I can just say first name. Then after that placeholder, the next thing that we are going to be having is a value for it actually. Okay, value. So this value now, we are going to be doing equal to, then we bring this, no, we bring this. So this is going to be new student dot first name for this one, new student. It shouldn't be students, it should be a new student. Okay, it should be a new student. So this will be new student dot first name. Okay, so whatever the new student is, whatever the new student, the first name value, this value over here is what is going to be the standard value of this input. Okay, so if you change this, basically you are reflecting this variable over here. So After this, copy, then paste. This is going to be for the last name. So instead of first, I'm going to be having Control D last. So this is going to be for the last name. Oh, I forgot this one. Last and F. So no, that should be last rather. So after last name, the next one that we are going to be having is for age. Age. Um, so copy this. So for this age now, we are going to be Control D age. So this is going to be age. So that will be for age. Then the next one that we are going to be having is for gender, which is basically copying the whole of this one. Then we paste again for the gender, but this is going to be G. Then after gender, the next one that we're going to be working on is for grade. So you copy this and you paste it for grade. So this is going to be capital G. Then after pasting for grade, the next one that we are going to be working for is address. In the case of address, we are going to be having a text area instead of a you're going to be having a text area instead of a regular input. So text area, okay. So now for this text area, we are going to be having a placeholder of address, and the name is going to be address. Then the name is going to be address. The placeholder of address, the name of address. Then the value is going to be new student.address. Copy, then paste this value over here. New student.address. Front end. I don't like it. It's very stressful. See how easy it was to just build a backend. So after address, the next thing to do, I think we're almost done with everything. Okay, the text area, actually, I'm supposed to do this. So take this out. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to add for contact phone number, and contact phone number is a text input. So just copy this, then paste it here. So instead of grade, I'll be having contact underscore number. So contact underscore number, so I can just say C, then N, contact number. So the name, student or contact number. So everything is almost in place. So after all these ones, now I need to, before moving further, it's just better that we do this now. We need to handle the input change such that if I should save this first, let's see what the front end looks like. You can see what the front end looks like. Every time that you change a value here, every time you change a value here, what happens? Every time you change a value. So come here. Um, I think I'm missing something because the classes are not showing up. I have app container, then after the app hyphen container, okay, I'm supposed to have form container, then I'm supposed to have form inputs, form inputs. Okay, so save this and come here. It is still inputs, save, come back here. Okay, so they are now back in shape. So I want to handle the input such that every time somebody changes something, I want to handle what happens. So after my fetch students, the next one that I'm going to be writing is a function that will handle the input. So const handle inputs change. Then to handle the input change, I can do something like e, then which is the event basically. Come here, then set the new student. But the new student that I want to set, I'm going to be spreading every other value. So new students. Then after spreading every other value, the next thing that I want to do is that I'll come and say e dot target dot name. E dot target dot name is going to be giving me the name of the field. Okay, it's going to be giving me the name of the field. Now after saying e dot target dot name, I'm going to be giving it a value of e dot target dot value, which is copy, then, and that is it. So after adding the new student, basically I'm going to be spreading the whole of these variables. I'm going to be spreading everything into the variable that I want to use to set the new student. Then I'm going to be doing something like this e dot target dot name. This e.target.name is going to be getting first name, last name, age, or whatsoever I set as the name over here. Then it's going to be getting the value, which is whatever the user adds. All right. So after spreading the new student, it will now specially edit this particular variable, this particular key in the dictionary. That is what is happening basically. So it sets the new student using the new value. So that is what happens. So come back to the form input. I'm going to be adding an event now on change, handle input change. So come here on change, then equal to handle inputs, basically this one over here. So that is it. So I can copy this and just paste it for all of them. Just copy this and now paste it for all of them. So come here, undo the input change for last name, for age, for gender, for this other one which is grade, then for the text area, then for this other one. Okay, so all of them, every time you change the value, it sets the new student. Okay, it sets the new student, so you can readily get the new student. So now let us do something fun over here. Let's do something fun. So let me come to the new line and console.log the new student. So every time you change a value, it will log the new student to the console. So come here. Okay, so come here and say maybe Alex. Okay, this should be e.target.value. Sorry, this should be the value, please. Pardon me. Instead of e.target. So e.target.name, like I said the other time, is going to be getting this name over here. So that is the reason why it is just populating it with this over here. So it should be dot value, not dot name. So please take notes. So come here. Let me reload. So I'll clear my console. Come here and just the Alex. If I say, you can see what I'm having now. First name A L E. Okay, so, and just like that. So you can see that every time that I enter a value over here, it is doing everything for me. Come here. Okay, everything is in shape. So I can just delete the whole of this now and I'm good to go. So what I want to do now is to create maybe Alex, then Samuel, then maybe 23, then come here for gender and do something like maybe male. For the grade A, somewhere in show lang. Okay. Then for the contact number, let me just say this. So you can see what I'm having now. You can see what I'm having now. So it's only the contact number that is not there because I just added it. So basically, that is how we are going to be handling the inputs for all of them. That is how we are going to be handling the inputs for all of them. So now let us add the form buttons. Okay, let us have the form buttons. So if I'm having selected students, if I'm having selected student over here, if I've selected a student, then obviously I might be trying to update the student data. But if I'm not having a selected student, then perhaps I want to create a new student. So I'm going to be doing conditional rendering over here. And the conditional rendering that I'm going to be doing, the conditional rendering, I can do something like, let me wrap all of this in the form button. So div dot form button. Okay, this doesn't work. Oh god, I always forget I'm not writing um, HTML. Class name. So this is going to be form, form, then buttons. So form buttons. Come to the next. So inside it, I'm going to be having this. Okay. So but I'll just nest it like this. So the form buttons now, I'm going to be having selected students, selected students. So if selected students, then basically I want to come and I'm going to be creating a fragment. Oh, first let me create this, then I'll be creating a fragment. So for this fragment now, I'm going to be creating two buttons. So the first one, button. So this button now, anytime you click on the button, it will basically the first one we update, the second one we cancel. So for this first button, update, but for the second button, I'm going to be having cancel. Okay, copy, cancel, update and cancel. So the next one that we are going to be having is to add a new student. So for this button, I don't have to put it in a fragment. I don't have to. Let me just play safe. So this is going to be add new students. Add new students. Okay. So I think that will be all for that particular part. So you can see I'm getting add new student over here. Add new student. So anytime that I click on this, I want it to add a new student basically. Every time I click on this, it adds a new student. So let us work on this button. So for this button, which is handle add student, don't forget I have to post. If you remember what we did with the API, we used the post method to add the new student. So let us write the function that actually posts the data to um, the database basically. So const handle add students. I don't need this anymore. Handle add student. So for me to add the student equal to open, I'm not accepting any data. Then now I will have to use the axios.post. Axios.post. So this axios.post, don't forget I'm using this same endpoint. So this same endpoint, axios.post, then I'm going to be passing new students. New students. Okay. So I'm going to be passing new students. Then after passing new students, since this is going to be returning a promise, I can say dot then response So this response now, so set student, so set student, actually set new student, set new student. And what do you want to set the new student as? I want to set the new student, um, okay, let me spread the students. Actually, what I want to set is not new student, is the students that I have. Set students, which is the list of all the students that I have. So don't forget, when you create a new student in the backend, it will return that student that you just created afresh. So basically, I want to append the new student that the API will give to me. I want to append it to the list of students that I have on ground. So this will be students, comma response dot data. Okay. So I'm spreading the students that I have initially. These are the students I have initially. Then the response dot data is the student that the API is going to be giving me. Okay. So now let me set my new student. To set the new student, I'll just change the whole of this. This is what I'll be using basically. Copy. So set new student. What am I doing? After the set new student as Control Z. Yes, set new student as this. So I'm going to be setting students and I'll set new students, but this is dot then, but you might dot catch. So just um, spit the error to the console. Copy and paste. So this will handle adding the students. Okay. So save this. So the next thing that I want to do is to, okay, add new student. So let's just test it out. Let's test it. So if I should reload, the first name, let me say Agnes, then Peterson, then age maybe 31, gender is female, then the grade is maybe C, then the address somewhere in Apapa, Lagos. Then the contact number, just some random numbers. If I should run this, let me just check my server. Um, it is giving me a get. Check my server again. It is not launching the request. So what is happening? Okay, I didn't attach this to on click equal to, then post it. So save this and now I can send the data. Okay, so you can see that it clears the whole of this. Now if you check what we wrote over here, the first thing it will do is that it will post the data to API slash students. Okay, after posting the data, it will get a particular response. That response, it will add it to the list of students it has already. Don't forget that students is a list. If you come here, students is a list, but single student is a dictionary. Okay, so this single student, it was is what is sent to the database, but after sending it to the database, the database is going to return the student it sent in response.data. Okay, so basically I'm going to be appending it to the number of students that I have before, but the new student that I sent out, I'm going to be zeroing all the fields. That is the reason why it clears those input fields. Okay, using the using this over here, it clears the input fields automatically. Okay, so the next thing that happens now is that it will send the data to the backend. Now let us check if the backend actually received the data. You can see what I have over here, posts. Okay, API slash student, and it is a 201, meaning that the creation was successful. If you check the dashboard, if I should reload, You see that I now have Agnes. Agnes I created over API. Okay, I created Agnes over API. So you can see that we have, out of create, read, update, and delete, we have done create and we have done read. Okay, so with the data that we have, which is Agnes, Sunday, Deborah, and Alex, let us actually create a list down here. Let's create a list down here so that anytime that I can actually close this now, so that we just create a list down here. Okay, so come to this place. I think we are done with this one for now. So let me just close the form container. So after that, the next thing that we are going to be having, after the form container, the next thing that we are going to be having is the list. Okay, is the list, which is basically the student list. So let me just use a UL. Let me label my code. So this is form container. So container. So the next one, so this is the student list. So for this student list, I'm going to be using an another list. Then let me give it a class name. So this class name is going to be student hyphen lists. So this list now, I'm going to be using a for loop. I'm going to be using a for loop to output all of them. Okay. So the for loop, no, the it's a loop actually. The map rather. So I'm used to using for loops. So students dot map. So student dot map. What do I want to map? I'm going to be getting a single student basically. Stud. So for each and every student that I get, basically inside this student, inside this loop that I have over here, the student that I have over here is not this one. Oh. It's not this student that I have over here. Okay, this is even student, this is new student, you can see. So I'm creating, basically for all the students that I have, I'm representing each and every one of them using this variable student. So I can just come here and do something like this. So for every student that I have, student.map, for every single student inside there, I'm going to be creating a list item. So I'm going to be creating a list item. So for this list item, the key, I must add a key. The key is going to be equal to student.id. Student.id. So the student.id is going to be coming from the API. You can see that in our case, we didn't add any ID to the fields, but it creates the ID on its own on the back end. So for this one, now I'm going to be creating a div. So for inside this div, I'm going to be having the first name and the last name. So the first thing I'm going to be having is strong, strong, strong. So this is going to be giving me the first name and the last name basically. So student the first name, student the last name, student dot first name, then copy this, copy space, then this is going to be last name. Okay, student the first name, then student the last name. So now I want to add a div for the buttons. Okay, I want to add a div for the buttons. This first one that I added over here is just for the name. Okay, so I'm going to be doing something like div for the action buttons. So I can just say for this div, what class name did I use again? The class name is going to be actions, I think. Yes, actions. Actions. Actually, I had a little help writing all this. So for these actions, I'm going to be creating three buttons. One will be for view, one will be for updates, then the other one will be for delete. Okay, view, update, and delete. So let me just copy from here, copy. Okay, so paste. So this first one is going to be view, edit, and delete. Okay, view, edit. Then the last one is going to be delete. Okay, view, edit, and delete. So the class name will be view, the class name will be edit, then the class name will be delete. So class name view, copy, class name will be edit, then the class name will be delete. Okay, view, edit, and delete. So for the three of them, view, edit, and delete, we are going to be adding the buttons for all of them. We are going to be adding the on click the on click action rather for all of them. So after doing all these ones, let me see what I have in my front end first. So okay, you can see that I have this one: Alex Samuel, Deborah Chris, Sunday Chooks, then Agnes Peterson. If you notice very well, Alex, Deborah, Sunday, and Chooks. These are exactly the entries that I have here. You can see uh, Agnes, Sunday, Deborah, and Alex. So you can see what I'm having over here. So this is exactly the same thing I'm having. So this is going to be reading all of them, but we also have the one that reads only one data. Okay, the one that reads only one data. So how can we handle that? Very simple. The way to do that, the way to do that is to we are going to be doing something now. Um, this variable over here, this is the time when we are going to be using it. These last two variables, this is the time when we are going to be using it. To view and this. So let me first of all write the single view. Okay, single data to view a single data. So I'm going to be rendering something conditionally over here. So to render it conditionally, I'm going to be saying open view. So if open view is true, so I can do something like let me just use this to make it neater. So I'm going to be having an outer box, and I'm also going to be having actually the outer box is fine. So div then so the class name is going to be outer box. So open, just to be very sure, let me set open to true. To view rather, let me set to view to true, so that I'll know that. Okay, yes, you can see open. So I'll return it back to false because we don't want to do anything for now. So for this outer box, the next thing I want to do is to um okay, the first name and the last name, let me use exactly what I did over here. The first name and the last name. Copy. So instead of student over here, I'm going to be using to view, Control D to view, because this is going to be a single data, just one entry. If you take a good look at everything that we have over here, I have Alex, Samuel, Deborah, Chris. If I click on view, it will show me all the information about Deborah, Chris that I have in the database. It will launch a request to the database, then it will give me everything about Alex, Samuel, or Deborah, Chris as appropriate. Okay, so that is what I want to do. The first thing I'm going to be sending out is strong to view. Okay, then the next thing that I want to do, I can add a line break, which is br. I'll add a line break. Then after adding my line break, the next thing that I want to add after adding my line break is the age. So let me use span. So I'll just say age, then I'll bring in to view dot age. So br, so this will be for age. The next one is going to be for gender. So control D, gender, but this is going to be capital G. Then come down. The next one is going to be for grade. Control D, grade. So, but I think this is going to be small letter. So after grade, I have address and contacts. So after grade, I have address and contacts. So copy, paste, instead of age, address. So address, then I think this will be capital letter. Then the last one is going to be contact phone number. So let this one be contact line. So this will be contact underscore phone. This should be contact number rather. Contact number. So let me create a button. So I'll just come here and create a button. Um, Actually, let it be after this div. So the button basically, don't forget, for us to be able to view this information, open view have to be set to true. Okay, this open view has to be set to true. Okay, so but for me to close this particular view over here, open view has to be set to false. So I'll just have a button here that will say close. Button, no, button. So for this button, div outer box, something is not right. Okay, I'm supposed to have only one element, so let me create a fragment. Okay, so I believe that the fragment is supposed to be on top. Okay, so everything is back to normal. So moving on, this button I'm going to be having close. So close on click. So this on click property, I'm just going to be doing something very simple. Arrow function, then set open view to false, and that will be it. I'll just set open view to false. So now for me to use this view over here, okay, for me to use this view over here, I need to do something first. Let me create a function that will handle the view. Let me create a function that will handle the view. So it will be an asynchronous function. An asynchronous function meaning that I want to use the async await syntax. So if you come here to const handle view click, so this handle view click is going to be an async function, and it's going to be taking an ID. Okay, the ID is what is going to be sent to the backend, so that ID is what is going to use to look for this particular entry. So if you come here, I can say const response equal to await, then axios dot get. What do I want to get? um, Let me use the backtick, so that if I should push this one inside, copy, paste it, Then I can also do this dollar sign. Then so I'll just bring the ID inside. So and I'll close it. So I'm going to be setting to view to response.data. I'm going to be setting to view to response.data. I can decide to do it this way. If I do it this way, it's the same thing. It's just different ways to do the same thing. So set to view to response.data. Then after that, set open view to true. No, what am I doing? Open view to true. So now that this handle view click, basically what it will do is that it's an asynchronous function that will take the ID. Okay, it will send it to the database. It will get this particular field, this particular data. Then I'm going to be setting to view. Look at what to view is. Where is to view? This is to view. So this dictionary over here, it is going to be setting it. Then after setting it, it is going to open this field over here. It is going to open this section over here. After opening it, if I click on this, I'm setting to view to false, then it will close it. So for this particular one, let's just copy handle view click. Then if you come to view const, no, what am I doing? On click. So this on click, just dump it there, and you are good to go. And that is it. Just on click, dump it there. But you know that we are going to be putting the student ID. They're going to be adding the student ID. So instead of just dumping it directly, we are going to have to do something like this. An arrow function. So let me space this. So this handle click, the next thing we are going to be doing is students.id, and that's it. So this same student that I have over here, this student ID that I use as the key here is what I'm going to be sending. So it will pick up this student.id, push it to the database. Then after pushing it to the database, it will use it to get the current data, then set open to true, which will in turn come and open this one over here. Okay. So save this and come back here. If I click on view, you see age 21, gender is male, grade is A. So close. Okay. If I click on Deborah Chris, you can see it is giving me all the information about Deborah Chris. If you check the server, you can see I'm getting information for one, getting information for two. If I even click on four, you can see it is changing everything. It will just change it automatically. You can see, and all this information is coming directly from the backend, like directly from the backend. If I should close this, it closes it. Open, it opens it. Okay, so this is how to read single data, but this is how to read multiple data. Okay, and in this case I'm using the list create function. That is what is responding to this one, but the one that is responding to this one is the student detail. You can see I'm getting the student detail over here. So if I want to output all this detail inside this place, I can also do it, but I think this is a neater way to explain it. So that will be for that. Let's work on the edit and the delete. So basically what I want to happen is that when you click on this edit button over here, it will load all the details for this particular person. It will load all the details here. Then instead of showing you add new student, you will see update or cancel. All right, you will see update or cancel. If you come here, you will see what we did, this update or cancel button. Okay, so let's work on the update first. Let's work on the update first. Okay, so I want to this handle edit click, this one over here, which is no, not this one, this edit click over here. So just copy the whole of this, copy, then copy, paste it. Then what I want to do over here is to handle edit click. So handle edit, and this edit click, I'm passing in the student into it. The student is what I'm passing into it, the whole student. But I've not created this variable, this function. So let me copy, then come here to const this handle edit click. Now that handle edit click now is going to be taking a student is equal to an arrow function that will take a student. So after taking the student, it will set the selected student to come here. What did I set it as? Actually, I think it should be selected students. It should be selected student, not selected students. So selected students rather. Hope I'm not using this anywhere else. I don't think I've used it anywhere. Okay, so set selected students to the students that you are passing into the function. Then the next thing that you want to do is to set the new student as well. So set new student to students. Okay, so I'm setting selected student and new student to the student that they are giving to me. Okay, so that it will, you know that by default, selected students is not defined in line 87. Where is line 87? What is happening on line 87? Yeah, it should be selected students. Okay, it should be selected students. So come here. If you notice very well, for these fields, I'm going to be having empty strings by default. I'm going to be having empty strings. But if I should come here to click on this edit, instead of empty strings now, it's going to be giving me actual data. So you can see that Alex Samuel, it is going to the point where using an unordered list to output all this data. I'm actually getting all the data for Samuel. Okay, so what I'm doing now is that when you click on edit, it will populate all these forms over here with the details of either Deborah. If I click on edit, you see it is populating with the details of Deborah. If I click on Sunday Chooks, it is populating it with the details of Sunday Chooks. All right, so and now I'm having update and cancel instead of add student, because obviously selected student is no longer null. Initially it used to be null. I didn't select any students before now, but update and cancel is going to be selected. It's going to, when I click on edit, it's going to add actual data to selected student, so it won't be null anymore. So after doing that, now let us handle update student. If you come to the form that we created, if you come to the form that we created under update and delete, we are going to be handling update student, then we handle delete student. Okay, so under the form for this one, instead of on click, copy, handle, instead of add, update. So handle update students, but I have not created the function. So the next thing I want to do now is to go and create the handle update student. Okay, handle update student. So where is copy, then const this function. So handle update student is going to be taking nothing because I have the student data. No. So handle update student. The next thing I want to do now is to use axios.put. So axios.put, basically I'm going to be passing in this, copy, then I'm going to be passing in new students. This is the updated student, if you remember very well. Handle edit click. Okay, so I might also decide to use selected student over here. Both of them will work just fine, but let me just go with new student. So after using Axios to send the updated data to the backend, what is the next thing I want to do? I can decide to use JavaScript to do this, and I can also decide to use to go to the backend to get the updated list of students. But I think it is better we go to the backend. So let us go to the backend. So this should be dot then dot catch. Let me just copy paste for dot catch. So copy then paste. So for this dot then response equal to, so this response, or let me just do it for the front end, set students. So I want to set my students. So if I should fetch students, or let me just use fetch students, since it will just go and set students with whatever it got from the database afresh. So I think it is just better. So after fetching students, the next thing I want to do is to set new student. So this new student now, don't forget, new student is getting the updated data, but new student I want to zero it. So how do I zero new student? Just copy the whole of these fields. Just copy the whole of these fields. Copy, then paste it, and that is all. So after handle update submit, update student, when you click on it, Axios will send the updated data to the backend. Don't forget, this is axios.put. So then the next thing it will do, whatever response it got, it will go and fetch the current student. It will go and fetch the student afresh from the backend. Then after fetching the student afresh, it will set the new student to empty string so that it will clear the input fields. So save this and come here. I'm getting ID is not defined in line 73. Line 73. Handle update student. I should have ID here. So come here. Handle update student. Um, handle update student. Okay, I think under the ID I should be using selected student.id. Selected students.id. Yes, selected student.id. Don't forget, when you set the the selected student that you did over here, the set selected student is going to be carrying everything that is coming from the database to the selected student variable. So selected student variable is going to be containing an ID, but student doesn't have an ID. Okay, so this is basically going to be collecting the updated ID. Well, you never update an ID in Django. You rarely have to do that. So this selected student over here .id is what you are sending to the backend. Just look for a way to get the student ID. So this is the ID basically. If I save this and come to my front end, you can see what I have. So let me reload everything. Then I will click on Sunday Chooks, for example. Instead of Abuja, let me let me change this name to maybe Endurance. So I can come here and update. So after updating now, you can see that he cleared the whole of this because of these lines of code over here. It just clears it. Then let us check the name. You see Sunday Endurance. So Sunday Endurance basically, um, this fetch student will go to the database and get the updated information. If you come here, you see that after putting, I used the get. Okay, after putting I use the get. So axios.put is what launched this put over here. Then this get over here, it is axios, it is this fetch student that launched it. So that is how we can do the update part. That is how we can do the update part. But another thing that we need to handle is the cancel. Another thing that we need to do is to handle the cancel. So for the cancel, basically we will set the selected student to null. Don't forget, anytime that you click on edit, the selected student is having all this data over here. So basically all we have to do is just to set, if to click on cancel, we set the selected student to null. Don't forget, if the selected student is null, you're going to be having add new student here, and it will clear these two buttons. So let's just go and do that. Come here and handle update student. For this one, on click open. So okay, so the next thing we want to do is to add, no, set selected student to null, and that is it. Set selected student to null. That is all for cancel. So if I come here and I click on cancel, but it is not closing the whole of this, something must be wrong somewhere. If I click on cancel, it is supposed to close the whole of this. Set selected student to null. Selected student to null. So okay, I think I know where this is going, because it is the new student. It is the new student. Um, let us add, instead of update students, let us use handle cancel, so we handle it properly. Cancel, handle cancel update students. So if I copy the whole of this, then I can just come here, const, then paste. This is going to be an arrow function, so equal to handle cancel update student. Now what I want to do is to set that selected student, set, don't forget, when we clicked on edit, this is what we did. Basically we want to reverse the whole of this. Okay, we want to reverse the whole of that. So set selected student, if you come here, the selected student that we had initially is null. So, and the new student itself is just a couple of empty fields. So for this selected student I want to have null. Then for this new student I just want to have the whole of this. Basically let me just set new student to this, copy and paste, and that is all. If I save this and I come here, reload, if I click on edit, click on cancel, you see it is working fine. Click on edit, click on cancel, click on edit, click on cancel. Now to the last one, which is more or less the simplest one. How do we go about it? So for the delete, you normally just click on this delete button and it will take it away from the database. So we are going to be using handle delete student. Come here, copy, so actually copy the whole of this. So I'm going to be having student.id, then don't forget, I'm just going to do this, um, handle delete delete student. So this delete student now, copy and come and write the function. Come and write the function const handle delete delete student, handle delete student equal to an arrow function again. So this arrow function is going to be taking the ID of the student. Then I did axios.delete. I think everything here is what I need. So instead of axios.put, axios.delete. So I'm not going to be sending a new student. All I want to send is just the ID. Don't forget, I'm getting the ID from this place. So I'm not doing this. So axios.delete. Then after deleting that current one, it will go to fetch student so that I can get the current students that we have on the database, excluding the one that I just removed. Then I think yeah, that will be all for that. So if I should save this and I come here, reload. So let me delete Sunday endurance, for example. Click on delete. Sunday endurance is gone. If I come here, you can see delete. Then after deleting, I use the get. So if I want to create, come here, let me create a new person. Let me say Esther, then Ezekiel, age 34, gender female, grade is maybe B, address is maybe Addis Ababa, then contact number, some random numbers to create, add a new student, and you can see Esther Ezekiel over here. So if you want to read the data of Esther Ezekiel, you can just click on view and you have the data over here. You can close if you want to. If you want to update her records, you click on edit, you see the her record over here. If she got married, she got married to somebody whose name is maybe um, I'm thinking of a German name. Okay, Lewandowski. It's a Polish name, one of the best strikers in the world of football. Let me change the age to 45 and let me the grade to A. I'll update this. Then I now have Esther Lewandowski. If I should view, you see age is 45 and the grade is now A. Okay, so that is how you update basically. So close this. Now to delete, I can delete Alex Samuel, and Alex Samuel is gone. If you come here, you see all the logs, all the console logs. So well, I did not intend for the tutorial to be this long. I don't know if it is because I did everything in a single page, but perhaps I have to do another tutorial where I decouple everything. So thank you very much. Drop your comments, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you need any form of support, you can join our Telegram group where we have a lot, where we can give you support. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.